Hello, dear ones. This is Bevin with Perceptive Souls, and I'm so glad you joined me today for your collective energy reading. These readings are, of course, done on a specific date, but they're really universal archetypes. So whenever you find it and you feel like this message resonates with you, then it's for you at that time. For a long time as an intuitive empath, I turned off or tried to turn off this really strong gift to be able to sense into the collective energy. It was overwhelming for me, and I felt drained and completely unsure about what to do with all these messages and things that were coming in. And then I realized, what if I just allowed that to flow through? And I use the vehicle of Tarot and Oracle to bring this important message out. And then it is not mine to carry, it's not mine to hold. So if this is one of your gifts as an empath, I just invite you to look at this in a different way, to say that perhaps this is just a message, an energetic message from me. And today we're really going to talk about the topic of regret and looking back at our past and reframing some of the things, the past relationships, the choices we've made. And we're going to tie that into the context of our collective, what's happening in our world right now. And we could definitely say the same thing. Like, why are we repeating the same pattern over and over and over? What am I supposed to learn here? What do I take away from that experience? So let's dive in to the reading and we'll get started. This is really relevant for empaths, particularly today. So the first card that came up was Chiron. Chiron in ancient mythology, and Chiron is a planetary body floating out near Pluto. And Chiron in ancient mythology was also a centaur. It was a half person, half horse. He was a wise teacher. He was a sage. He often mentored the other heroes and heroines of the time, the demigods. And at one point, he noticed that one of his students was in danger, that someone was holding a poison arrow back and ready to draw the bow. And so he threw his body in between and took the arrow into himself. Chiron is the archetype of self-sacrifice and martyrdom. And what happened is that poison went deeper and deeper into his body, but he was an immortal. So he was doomed to forever hold that wound and to have that fester and feel that hurt. And sometimes when we look back at our past, we feel like that is our situation as well. Especially if we were in a situation where we were martyring ourselves, where we were sacrificing ourselves for other people. And this is very common for empaths to do. We can get into that pleaser mode, that rescuer mode very easily. And last night, it probably isn't a coincidence that I had a really strong, powerful dream about someone in my past who I had entered into this space. I was definitely playing that role of Chiron. And we're willing to do it at first, and then later we get really resentful about having to carry that wound, about trying to heal someone else when they don't want to be healed, to carry that baggage, right? And if we tie this into our collective right now, we have a lot of collective world baggage, do we not? Right? And we could look back and we could say, wow, if we just made different choices about how we treated the earth or how we treated each other, or, you know, that we had never, for example, held people in slavery. I mean, what other trajectory could we have had if we had made different choices as a collective? But not only do empaths enter into this particular archetype, but so does everyone else. You know, and we're playing out these things where one person is shooting the poison arrow and another person is taking the hit for it on behalf of someone else. And we see that this energy is really strong. And if you really want to dive deep into this Chiron energy, my dear friend Denise Dryden who is a coach and a wise empath and shadow walker. She does personalized Chiron readings, and Chiron is the deepest wound that we each have, and the deepest wound that we have as a collective. And once you have an awareness of what that is, right, then you have an opportunity to make different choices. So her work is really powerful. I'll include that in the description box below. But Chiron is an important piece to come out, because we're no longer needing to hold this energy, but it's been present for a really long time. That there are some who are sacrificing for others, that there are some who are giving up their life. I mean, the way that Chiron was able to release this wound is he had to let go of his immortality. He had to give up one of the greatest gifts that he had in order to literally die and to be reborn. And we certainly feel as a collective that we're in that kind of energy now. It's time for us to stop sacrificing as a world, sacrificing each other, sacrificing our earth, and start really looking very mindfully at the choices that we're making. So this is the Chiron energy to start off the reading. And then when we get into that energy of self-sacrifice, of martyrdom, we come into the Queen of Cups, which is a deeply emotional state, right? Deeply emotional state. It can either be the empowerment of our emotions, the mastery of that, or the complete overwhelm. And I would say that right now, many people, if you look out into the world, are in complete emotional overwhelm. They're trying their best to go on with their day, to deal with being sheltered at home, but you know, and this is that crab energy, that Cancer home energy, right? Coming into the home, being secluded, being with family, just being with those who you are closest to. And yet there's a lot of overwhelm here in our world. And it's okay, because when we make this decision to let go of that wound, and we decide to have a figurative collective death, an individual death, there's a lot of sadness about that. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of pain. This is what we've known. This is where we've been. Where are we going? I have no idea where we're going. And so we go within, right? We go within to reduce overwhelm and to reduce the spread of the virus as well. And then we come into this space where we feel like, you know, there's sort of a storm blowing all around us. And maybe there's the hounds of hell looking for us, right? They're looking and sniffing, and then we're down here under this tree. We're just taking shelter. We're like, okay, I don't want to get sick. So I have to isolate myself. And we're starting to go within. We're starting to get down to the root and the foundation of who we truly are. Getting out of the chaos, getting out of the need to be in that fast-paced hustle culture. And we're just going within, and we're getting quiet. We're getting quiet. We're getting grounded. We're coming closer to the earth. We're being gentle to the earth and gentle to ourselves. This is a beautiful energy. It could look really scary, but this is a beautiful energy for each of us as an individual and as a collective. And then we come into the serpent, right? The serpent has so many layers of meaning. In many spiritual traditions, the serpent is sort of typecast as the evil one, but I don't see it that way. The serpent is, again, very grounded, very close to the earth. It doesn't even have feet, right? It's just literally on the earth itself. So this is our reconnection with that space. The serpent sheds its skin when it's time to grow. And certainly we are in that process of shedding. And in the shedding process, we're like itching and scratching, and it feels uncomfortable, and we're not quite in the new skin yet, but we haven't released the old skin yet. And this is the process of transformation that we're going through on an individual level and a collective level. And you see here that it's coiled, right? It's coiled. Sometimes it's coiled around the staff, which would be really symbolic of medical, you know, and that's so appropriate for our times right now. But here it just weaves back and forth. It's sort of meandering like a river. And each bend represents a particular pattern, a repetition of a pattern. And we think, do we need to go through this again? Like, how many times has our world been faced with a cataclysmic potential disaster? And what have we done in that time? What have we done to ensure our survival and to move forward, you know, and to move forward? And we look at these different eras of human history, right? Each time we went around the bend, we developed new ways of being, new ways of interacting, new technology, new knowledge. And the serpent in most metaphysical circles is seen as the Kundalini rising. So it begins at the root chakra, right? And it starts to uncoil itself as you have your spiritual awakening. It uncoils itself through all of your chakra points until it comes up into the crown and rises into your higher self and your higher self consciousness. So this is a really powerful card. And the 4 and the 6 equals 10, which is the completion of a cycle. So we have completed this last cycle as humankind, and many of us individually as well, whatever that is for you, whether that's the cycle of a particular job or a relationship or a health concern. We're just completing a cycle now. So allow the serpent energy to be present in your world. Know that it's okay that you don't know what your new skin will look like. Maybe you'll emerge and it'll be green and sparkly, or maybe it'll be iridescent, or maybe you'll have, you know, stripes or spots. I mean, just allow your new skin to come in and allow that Kundalini energy to start arising within you. And when we begin to allow that Kundalini energy to arise, we come in to the 7 of Earth, which is a realignment of all of our energy centers and a reconnection with the earth. You see the fire, right, on the shoulders. This sort of, for me, represents the recent fires that we've seen in Australia and, you know, the areas where our earth has been devastated. And now we have time for renewal because we're not flying right now. We're not, you know, mining resources like everyone's at home. We're not doing as many things to the earth as we were before. And what we're doing is we're coming within. And here you see the snake coiled around the throat chakra, right? So many people who are awakened or awakening are beginning to speak out about this new era. This is what I'm doing. I'm embracing that snake. That snake is not constricting my neck. That snake is supporting and nurturing me. That snake is fully expressed now. I don't know if you can see very well, but it's lost the old skin. It's in this bright green, new glowing aspect, and it's tapping in at the head to the heart energy, and it's wrapping around the throat chakra. So we're bringing these messages out that it's time for a new era, and we're recognizing there are different seasons that we've gone through, right? And we're activating ourselves. We're realigning. Humankind and many people individually were very much out of alignment, right? We felt like we were in this energy for a really long time, right? This energy of chaos and wind blowing and loss and scarcity. This just feels like scarcity to me, right? And really what we're meant to know, what we're meant to understand is that we have immense abundance. How we use it is really important, right? How we use it's really important. And so it's a going within process and getting ourselves realigned. Each of those chakras, starting at the root, dealing with our safety and security, and then coming up into the sacral and, you know, working with that Queen of Cups energy that we saw before, and understanding, acknowledging, and managing those strong emotions, and coming into our solar plexus and saying, well, who am I now in this new era? What is my identity? What is my role in the collective? And then coming into the heart, bridging that head and that heart and allowing our heart to lead and using our voice to really strongly communicate what's important to us in the world now, and activating our intuition, marrying that intellectual and that intuitive mind. We've been so much in the intellectual mind that it's time to tap into that intuitive and to recognize what season we're in. Sometimes we're in full bloom, sometimes we're putting on fruit, and sometimes we're letting go. And how do we understand how to do those cycles without trying to resist, right? Without trying to resist those cycles. And when we start to get aligned collectively and individually, we come into the mother energy, right? Here's the beautiful mother, right? It's our earth mother who's really leaning forward now and saying, okay, I'm ready to be activated in this space. It's our own personal mother within, regardless of the relationship that you had with your actual human mother. This is an opportunity to mother yourself. You see that she's slightly pregnant, which means that there is new growth, new opportunities, new life beginning. There's this beautiful light here, right, shining in the darkness. She has the turtle spirit, which reminds us again to slow down, to nurture ourselves. A mother energy is meant to be very nurturing, very compassionate, very loving, kind. We need to be kind to ourselves, kind to others, and allow whatever new life, new spark, new idea, new passion is starting to grow within you to emerge. So this takes us really into a new cycle, right? We're into a new cycle now. So we started this with, the reflection of regret or reframing of past relationships, past health, past careers, the past way that we've handled our environment, all these things that we could have this regret about. And then when we get realigned and we nurture ourselves, and we recognize we did the best that we could with what we knew. The ancient ones represent every human being who's ever walked on this planet. We come for this finite lifespan and we pass. And in my personal belief, our spirit, our soul lives on. And yet the body returns to the earth, like ashes to ashes, dust to dust, right? And all these layers of these beautiful, amazing beings who have been here since the very beginning, since the very first humans ever stood upright and walked on this earth. They are all here with us. The soul, the spirit of every single ancestor, our collective ancestors. And they're inviting us into this new cycle, right? And there's a lot of activation here at the crown, a lot of activation, inviting us to tune back in to that collective energy, to utilize all of that wisdom, all of the resources. Yes, it's great to look back. We need to reframe because we don't want to repeat lessons of the past. We want to move forward as a species and as individuals. We want to be able to shift that energy, and we have the power to shift that energy. So we can tap back into our ancestors. You can call upon anyone in your family system, or even those that you don't know by name, but you feel them in spirit, and say, Holy Ones, what's next for me? How do I begin to take this walk into the new era? How am I meant to shine my light? What do you know? And just tap in and listen. This is a new beginning for humanity, for our earth, for you personally. And then we come into balance with the Eight of Earth. This is a very grounding energy. This is an energy of being in our humanness while also embodying our spiritual nature. And I don't know if it's a little hard to see, but she has this beautiful jewel, right? This is who you're meant to be and how you're meant to shine. Right? She has this candle at the very top of her crown. So she's in concert with the earth. She actually flows into the earth. This card came up in a different reading just a few days ago, and she's very much in alignment, very much in this balanced place, right? And this would be the Eight of Pentacles in the Tarot. And the eight always refers for me to the infinity symbol if you turn it on its side. And it's the flow of giving and receiving. It's that we only need to utilize as much resources as we actually need, not more. We don't need more and more and more and more. That's kind of been really our core wound, right? It's been our core wound, is needing to scale, needing to have more, needing to, amass more fortune, to make more money, to make the stock market go up. Like we've been so focused, and this is an invitation to come into a different kind of energy and just say, enough is enough. What if we all came into concert with the earth? What if we realize we're a part of this beautiful, infinite ecosystem with each other, inside of ourselves, with our mother, right? And my job, my only job, is to shine this beautiful light, is to be a holder of potential. It's one of the perceptive archetypes that flowed through me, is the holder of potential. How do you sense in and understand what is possible for us individually and collectively? And you hold that sacred, glowing orb of light and energy. And you hold it out into the world and you say, here it is. We can take this if we want it. It's a beautiful card. I'm so excited for us. And then we come into the blessings of Kumu, which tells us that no good thing shall be withheld. So when we feel like we're down in this space here, and it's sort of a person, you can't even see them, they're just like all tucked in, and there's sort of despair, right? Which a lot of people are kind of feeling this way right now. We have an opportunity to open our wings, to transform. The butterfly has come so prominently into these readings in the last few days, and I'm so excited about that. We see our ancient ones here. They're always here, right? They're protecting us. And we're getting a lot of activation in this owl spirit, the wisdom. But we're meant to take this journey from feeling despair, feeling dark, feeling like we're at the base of that tree, that everything's swirling around us, to then unfolding and opening and holding that light. There it is again, right? Your beautiful light. And what that is for each person will be a little bit different, right? It'll be a little bit different. But then we have this enormous, enormous crown chakra activation. And we know we're surrounded by our ecosystem, our sacred geometry. That those emotions have come full circle. Here's the full moon at the top, right? We've come into the fullness of our being. And all we need to do is receive. That's all we need to do is receive. So there's a little bit of a small blurb that I would like to share with you in the interpretation of this card. No good thing shall be withheld. When you are a dreamer, a visionary, and a seer of the need for transformation in our world, as so many empaths are, it can be easy to feel intimidated, to dismiss the possibility for radical change as unrealistic, to believe that the greatest of our visions are unobtainable in the real world. However, many things that were once considered to be impossible to the human mind are now part of our daily lives. The impossible becomes possible on a regular basis. Your beautiful and perhaps impossible seeming dreams are supported by the unlimited resources of the universe. Even if you don't know what's needed and when, in order to create a successful outcome, the universe does. You are being guided to reset your mind and your heart to unconditional trust. This can be a challenge for the human part of ourselves that tends to give weight mostly to what can be perceived through the 5 bodily senses. Yet for your spirit, this is easy. The spirit within you knows the incredible power of the divine to bring together all aspects of life in the perfect way, at the perfect time, for astounding success. Your spirit knows that when you take action on your most apparently impossible divine mission from a position of faith, rather than a limited perspective, the universe helps you every step of the way. And this card says that no good thing shall be withheld. This is our birthright, right? We are meant to be abundantly healthy, to be abundantly connected, to have a world that works for everyone, that nurtures and supports and uplifts us all. One where we can be in balance with our mother. We can be in balance with each other. We need to continue to hold that potential. It's so important right now, more than ever before. And intuitive empaths out there, you are exactly the one to be holding that potential. And we come to our final card today, which is so incredibly beautiful, right? So we've had all of this activation up here at the crown coming in, and look at how that person is literally holding that potential, that rainbow, the rainbow that reflects our great love for each other and our acceptance of all diversity, of all human beings, the rainbow, the tapestry of our world ecosystem. We are the holder of that potential. And when we hold that potential, from our knowing vibrates out into all of the collective energy, this consciousness. It's time for this consciousness, right? It's time. Just take a moment and breathe that in. Right? There's no sacrifice needed here. All that's asked of you is to hold this knowing and to take action as you decide to take action from that heart activation, from your holding of your own beautiful light. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to throw your body in between someone else's in order to take the arrow for them. Everyone has the strength to walk this journey individually and together. So thank you, my friends. If you've been tapping into old stories, looking at old relationships, looking at old jobs, looking at patterns in your life, it's okay. This is a great process. But I hope that this gives you hope that there is a new level. It's like we've reached another plateau. It's like, okay, here we are. We've been climbing, climbing, climbing. And now we're just going to sit on this ledge on the side of the mountain. And we're going to rest for a moment. And we're going to look out. And we're going to see this rainbow. And we're going to hold this rainbow. We're going to hold the entire human species, the entire planet, our entire universe in that beautiful energy. And that's all we're required to do right now. Thank you, dear ones, for joining me today. I am a coach and mentor for intuitive empaths, light workers, and conscious leaders. I have several different ways that you can connect with me, from private readings to taking a look at my online global community, which is 1millionempaths.com. It is a sanctuary for those who care deeply about our world to help you thrive while you serve. Make those deep connections with others who also are holding that potential and that light. So listen to the lessons of your past. Connect in with the ancient ones. Embody the wisdom that's inside of you. And when you're ready, step into being the holder of potential. Because the rainbow is coming. Matter of fact, it's already here. And when we know that, when we embody that, everything changes. Namaste.